Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Saturday a draft minerals deal with Washington did not contain the security provisions that Kyiv needed. 3 sources said the United States had proposed taking ownership of 50% of Ukraine's critical minerals.
It's not in our interests today, not in interests of sovereign Ukraine.
Zelensky is looking to secure post-war security guarantees as U.S. President Donald Trump pushes to end the war with Russia. Kyiv has placed high importance on the need for Ukraine to receive guarantees from the U.S. that would deter Russia from launching a new invasion once a peace deal is reached. Senior officials from Trump's administration will start peace talks with Russian and Ukrainian negotiators in Saudi Arabia in the coming days. That's according to U.S. Representative Michael McCaul, who spoke to Reuters at the Munich Security Conference on Saturday. It was confirmed by a source with knowledge of the plans. The officials include Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who held a phone call on Saturday with his Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov. They discussed the conflict in Ukraine, both parties said. They also agreed on regular contacts to prepare for a meeting between Russian President Vladimir Putin and Trump, Russia's foreign ministry said. McCaul, who is chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, said it was his understanding that Zelensky had been invited to participate in the Saudi talks. McCaul said the talks were aimed at arranging a meeting with Trump, Putin, and Zelensky, quote, to finally bring peace and end this conflict. Zelensky was asked by reporters in Munich about the planned meeting between U.S. and Russian officials in Saudi Arabia.
Maybe there is something at the table, but not on our table. So I didn't see any invitations, envoys, and etc. from Ukraine to meet with some other envoys. And it's something strange for me to speak in this case and this format if before we don't have any negotiation between us and our strategic partners. As I remember, Russia is not our strategic partner.
Zelensky said earlier on Saturday that Ukraine would never accept any peace deals reached behind its back or without Kyiv's involvement.
Pope Francis, who is receiving treatment in hospital for a respiratory tract infection, will not appear in public on Sunday to lead his usual weekly prayer, the Vatican said in a statement on Saturday. The pontiff, who is 88, has been suffering from bronchitis for more than a week. He was admitted to Rome's Gemelli Hospital on Friday morning. People were seen outside of the hospital on Saturday, praying for Francis's quick recovery near a statue dedicated to the late Pope John Paul II, who was also treated there during his long papacy. One such adherent was Sister Jean, a passionate nun who lives in Rome, who told Reuters she hopes the prayers support the Pope so that he can continue his ministry. The Vatican said in the statement that the Pope has seen some improvement. Earlier, the Vatican said he would remain in hospital as long as necessary for his treatment. Gemelli Hospital, Rome's largest, has a special suite for treating popes. Francis, who has been pontiff since 2013, has had influenza and other health issues several times over the past 2 years.
A Canadian flag maker's sales have doubled from a year earlier, the company's owners said, as tensions with the neighboring United States fuel a wave of patriotism.
This traditionally is probably the lowest part of our season.
Matt Skip is co-owner of Flags Unlimited. He credits the spike in demand to threats from U.S. President Donald Trump.
Our volumes are double what they would normally be at this time of year, and we think that this is going to be a huge year for flag sales in Canada.
Trump has suggested in recent weeks that Canada would be better off if it agreed to become the 51st U.S. state.
I spoke to Governor Trudeau on numerous occasions, and we'll see what happens.
After Trump announced 25% tariffs on most of Canada's goods, Canadians canceled trips south of the border, boycotted U.S. alcohol and other products, and even booed at sporting events. Trump has since delayed the tariffs. Skip says the company produces more than 500,000 flags annually and is now considering extra shifts and sourcing more material to meet demand.
This is the first time, I really have ever concerned about actually running out of product.
The company manufactures and assembles the flags in Ontario, though it imports some of its materials from overseas. Canadian politicians have called on citizens to display the national flag, as the country marks the 60th anniversary of the red and white maple leaf banner's debut on February 15th.
The UN Refugee Agency is alarmed by the rapidly worsening humanitarian crisis in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, as the continued lack of access to displaced people hampers the provision of an urgently needed aid. Heavy artillery shelling and looting have destroyed 70,000 emergency shelters around Goma and Minova in North and South Kivu provinces, leaving some 350,000 internally displaced people once again without a roof over their heads. Hundreds of thousands of displaced people are now living in overcrowded makeshift shelters, churches, and hospitals. The displaced people in Goma are also affected by the considerable increase in crime, while some 100,000 internally displaced people have attempted to return to their home, where houses have been damaged and there are little or no essential services. Many remain stranded in collective centers, damaged IDP sites, or with the host community.
French luxury group Hermès reported fourth quarter results well above analyst expectations on Friday and revealed a robust appetite from wealthy consumers for its most expensive items, including Birkin bags. They cost upwards of $10,000. Posting quarterly sales up by around 18%, Hermès continues to outshine rivals like LVMH and Kering-owned Gucci. The industry is suffering its slowest sales in years. Global luxury sales fell around 2% last year, hurt by a property crisis crimping spending in China and inflation-weary shoppers elsewhere. Shares in Hermès were up 4.5% in early Paris trade. It said sales for the fourth quarter rose 18% to over $4.1 billion. The double-digit growth contrasts with LVMH's 1% rise over the last 3 months of the year. The Asia region, excluding Japan, is Hermès' biggest market, and sales there grew 9% in the fourth quarter. Asked about the impact from potential US tariffs on European goods, Executive Chair Axel Dumas said the company would not adjust its production. Hermès announced it would be raising prices by 6 to 7% this year to reflect higher production costs and exchange rates.